Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive.
Always fun to dive in.
Yeah, so today we're going to be looking at this idea
Okay.
of personal transformation,
Mm-hmm.
but through this kind of unusual method of intentional disappearing.
Oh, interesting.
It's almost like this secret playbook we found for like
Okay.
leveling up your life,
I like it.
but all kind of behind the scenes.
Huh. That's interesting because it really challenges that idea
Right.
of shouting your goals from the rooftops.
Straightly.
This is the opposite.
Yeah.
Quietly working. And I think that idea of, stepping back from needing that
Yeah.
external validation, that can be really powerful.
It's pretty radical when you think about it, this like disappearing act, where
Yeah.
you're deliberately withdrawing to
Right.
work on yourself.
Yeah, it's like you're going off the grid to build a better you.
Right, exactly.
Like making a personal sanctuary.
Yeah.
Where you're free from all the distractions, the
Mhm.
expectations, and you can just focus on your own evolution.
Okay, so let's break down how this disappearing act actually works.
Okay.
The source talks about controlling your words first.
Okay.
So like being really careful about what personal details you share,
Mm-hmm.
even with close friends.
Interesting.
I could see how that minimizes negativity and all that.
Right.
But wouldn't that get lonely?
Well, it's not about cutting off all communication.
Okay.
It's about being more mindful of where you're putting your energy.
Okay.
Like, think about it. Every time you share something personal,
Yeah.
you're opening yourself up to all these opinions,
Judgments.
judgments, unwanted advice even.
Right.
So you're conserving all that energy when you limit those interactions.
Yeah.
And you maintain focus on your own internal compass.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Especially when you're trying to break free from that.
Mhm.
What will people think?
Totally.
Mindset.
Yeah.
The source really emphasizes that valuing your own thoughts
Right.
above everything else is key.
Above all else. It's
Mhm.
like you're saying outside opinions hold less weight than your own internal guidance.
It's about reclaiming your passion.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Becoming the author of your own story
Right.
instead of letting external validation dictate your every move.
Yeah. And this is where it gets even more interesting.
Okay.
The source also recommends keeping your plans under wraps.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Isn't that counterintuitive, though?
Yeah, it is.
Don't we usually get more support when we share our goals?
You would think so, right?
Yeah.
But the source makes this argument that premature sharing,
Yeah.
it actually can dilute the energy.
And the focus you need.
And yeah, exactly.
It's like you're letting the air out of the balloon
Totally.
before it even has a chance to fly.
Before it can even get off the ground.
Okay, so we're keeping our thoughts to ourselves, our plans.
Right.
What else is involved in this disappearing act?
Well, the source also says that it's important to hide your progress,
Well,
at least initially.
okay.
I mean, it is tempting to share those early wins.
Oh, for sure.
You want to bask in the praise,
Yeah.
the encouragement.
Right.
But the idea here is to stay under the radar and avoid backsliding,
No victory laps until you've crossed the finish line.
pretty much.
Well, that's tough.
It is.
You know, part of me really likes celebrating those little wins.
I get it.
But I guess if you're trying to reprogram yourself,
Yeah.
it's better to just keep your head down and focus.
Stay focused.
What about when things get rough, though?
Okay.
Does the source address that?
It does.
I-
It suggests that you actually embrace those struggles alone
Oh, wow.
and view them as opportunities to build resilience
Okay.
and self-reliance.
So instead of seeking comfort or sympathy?
You go inward.
Yeah.
You
Right,
know,
right.
you delve into your own inner resources.
Right.
And that ultimately strengthens your ability to cope with whatever comes your way.
So it's like a test of your commitment to this whole transformation.
Yeah, you could say that.
Yeah, instead of relying on others, you find the strength within yourself. But doesn't that risk becoming unhealthy isolation?
That's a fair concern.
Yeah.
And the source does acknowledge that.
Okay.
You know, there's a fine line
Right.
between that self-reliance and isolation.
Yeah.
And it's not about cutting yourself off from the world completely.
Right.
It's more about shifting your focus inward
Okay.
during this period of intense growth.
So it's more about creating a psychological space
Yeah,
than a literal one.
exactly.
It's fascinating.
It is.
But I got to say, it's a little daunting, too.
I mean, it does challenge the conventional wisdom,
Yeah.
but there's something alluring about it, too.
I know.
Working on yourself in secret,
Yeah.
and then later you emerge
Right.
a better version of yourself.
It's like a superhero origin story.
I like that.
But that brings up the big question.
Okay.
What are you actually doing during this
Right.
self-imposed exile?
Yeah,
That's where this working in the shadows phase comes in.
exactly. That's where the real work begins.
All right, so
Yeah.
let's
Let's get into that.
Let's dig into that.
Okay, yeah. It's like your own personal training montage.
Yeah.
But instead of building muscles, you're building a better you.
Okay, I like that.
So the source lays out 3 core elements
Okay.
for this working in the shadows phase.
All right, let's unpack those.
Okay.
What's the first element?
Well, it all starts with defining your transformation.
Okay.
And I mean, really defining it.
Okay.
Get crystal clear about your goals. Write them down in detail
Uh-huh.
and keep those goals visible.
So it's not just this vague idea of like wanting to be healthier or more successful.
Oh,
You're talking about like specific, measurable goals.
absolutely. The source really stresses the importance of precision.
Okay.
So whether it's about improving your health, mastering a new skill, launching a business, whatever it is, you need to know exactly what you're aiming for.
Okay.
And remember, we're still working in secrecy here.
Right.
So no sharing with the outside world just yet.
So it's almost like you're crafting a blueprint
Yeah,
for this ideal self.
Yeah.
But you're keeping it tucked away for now.
for now. Exactly.
Okay. So we've got our goals clearly defined.
Right.
What's the next step in this working in the shadows?
All right. So the second element is about structuring your life for success.
So redesigning your environment,
Exactly.
your habits, your routines.
It's time to make some tangible changes.
Okay. This is where the real work begins.
This is where the rubber meets the road.
Yeah.
So, this could involve anything from like rearranging your living space
So
to be more conducive to your goals, to seeking out new learning opportunities, to meticulously planning your day.
it's like you're building a launch pad for your new self,
Yeah,
putting all the pieces in place
absolutely.
so that when you do emerge,
Right.
you're ready to take flight.
You're ready to go.
But all this restructuring and discipline, that sounds pretty intense.
It is.
Does the source talk about staying motivated through all that?
Yeah, that brings us to the third element.
Okay.
And I would say this is the most crucial element.
Okay.
It's mental reprogramming for happiness.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it's not enough to just grind away in isolation.
Right.
You need to embrace the challenge.
Yeah.
Find joy in the process.
Okay.
Cultivate a positive mindset.
So it's not just about willpower and pushing through.
It's not just about grit.
Yeah.
It's about finding a way to really enjoy the journey.
I can see how that would make the whole process a lot more sustainable.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The source emphasizes this shift.
Okay.
Going from a mindset of deprivation
Right.
and struggle
Yeah.
to one of fulfillment and growth.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
If you're going to spend all this time working on yourself
Mm-hmm.
in this really focused way,
Yeah.
you better find a way to enjoy it or you're going to burn out.
Exactly. You just crash and burn.
Yeah. But I'm curious, the source talks about mental reprogramming,
Right.
which sounds pretty high level.
It does.
Does it offer any specific techniques?
Well, it doesn't delve into specific techniques,
You bet.
but it does stress the importance of awareness
Okay.
and intentionality.
Yeah.
It's about consciously choosing to focus on the positive aspects,
Right.
celebrating those small wins,
Yeah.
reframing challenges as opportunities for growth.
So it's not about ignoring the difficult parts,
No.
but it's about approaching them with a different perspective.
Exactly. It's about training your mind to see the good,
Okay.
to appreciate the effort you're putting in,
Mm-hmm.
and to find satisfaction in that process of becoming a better version of yourself.
Okay, so this working in the shadows phase is really starting to take shape.
It is.
We've got our goals defined, we've restructured our lives,
Right.
and we've primed our minds for success.
We're ready.
But I got to ask, what happens when we're ready to step back into the light?
Okay.
What does this reemergence look like?
That is the big question, isn't it?
Yeah, after all this behind-the-scenes work.
All that work behind the curtain. Yeah, that's where things get interesting. The source suggests this reemergence isn't about seeking validation from others.
So it's not about that, like, ta-da moment.
No,
Like, look at me, look how much I've changed.
not at all. It's more about showcasing a transformed self
Okay,
that's aligned with your values
okay.
and not those external expectations.
So you've done all this intense work on yourself,
Right.
and now you're living in a way that feels true to you,
Exactly.
regardless of what anyone else thinks.
That's the idea.
That's pretty powerful.
It is, and there's an even more intriguing twist here.
Okay.
The source suggests that the transformation might be so profound at this point
Yeah.
that you may not even feel the need
Wow.
to step back into the spotlight.
So you've reached this point where
Yeah.
external validation is almost irrelevant
Right.
because you've already achieved that inner alignment.
You've achieved what truly matter.
Yeah, with your values, your goals,
Exactly. It's like reaching a level of self-mastery. Yeah.
where you're no longer seeking approval from others.
You're not looking for that pat on the back.
Nope. You become your own benchmark for success.
This whole idea of disappearing to work on yourself,
Right.
it's so counterintuitive
It is.
to how we usually approach self-improvement.
Yeah, we're always told to share our goals.
Yeah. Tell everyone.
Shout it from the rooftops.
But it makes a lot of sense when you lay it out this way.
Yeah, I think so too.
Like you're creating this safe space to experiment, to shed those old patterns,
Yeah. Get rid of the things that aren't serving you.
to build this new version of yourself,
A better version.
free from all that external pressure.
All that noise.
Yeah,
It's a fascinating model for growth.
it is.
It really emphasizes self-reliance,
Mm-hmm.
inner transformation,
Yeah.
and a deep understanding of your own values.
In a world that's constantly trying to shape us,
Right.
there's something really powerful about taking back that autonomy.
Absolutely. Reclaiming your power
Yeah.
to define your own path. So to recap, we started by exploring this idea of intentional disappearing
Right.
as a way to create space for that deep personal work.
Hmm.
Then we dug into that working in the shadows phase,
Right.
where we define our goals, restructure our lives,
Yeah.
and cultivate that more positive.
That resilient mindset.
Yeah. And then finally, we talked about this idea of reemergence,
Right.
not as a quest for validation,
No.
but as an expression
Yeah.
of that internal transformation we've undergone.
It's a natural outflow
Yeah,
of all that inner work.
it's a process that really challenges conventional wisdom
For sure.
about self-improvement.
Mm-hmm.
It encourages us to think differently about growth,
Yeah.
success,
Absolutely.
what truly matters.
Yeah, it really makes you question everything.
It does, and it
Yeah.
gives you a lot to think about.
It does.
Here's a final thought for you, dear listener.
Okay.
What area of your life could benefit from a period
Mm-hmm.
of focused, behind-the-scenes work, even if you're not ready to completely disappear?
Yeah.
What if you just dedicated a little time
Right.
to working on yourself in this more intentional,
Yeah.
secluded way?
That's a good question.
What transformations might be possible?
Lots to think about there.
Keep that question in mind as we wrap up this deep dive.
Great advice.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning.
Keep diving deep.
We'll see you then.